part of it because I needed it. I finally had to admit that, you know what, after all you've been through, and the doctor said, of course you're depressed. And I'd never taken a med for it, but everybody wants to medicate everybody. And we're not doing that with PASS. We're not doing that. They're fixing people and giving them quality of life.
Let me give out the website. PassedUSA.com is where folks can go to find out about this. And you and Ray and Christian Okoye and Charlie Brown, the former Redskins receiver, are going to be talking a lot about this over the next couple of days.
Just trying to make a difference and enhance other people's lives.
So how much are you in tune with, I mean, do you feel like you got to call friends and say, you know, were you like me? I mean, you obviously cannot speak to every NFL player that ever played in the game before, but you obviously played long enough in the NFL, had a lot of different teammates. Do you find other people having similar stories?
Boy, that's a great question. Yeah. You'd be, matter of fact, more do than don't. More do have the stories. Some a little too macho to admit it, like we all are. The same things that made some of those players great is the same weakness when they're done playing, because you think you can do it all on your own. You're single-minded. And now, when you got to reach out for somebody's help, or it's a sign of weakness for asking for somebody's help. So I bring it to people's attention whenever I can, and will continue to do it. But you're right, you can't reach them all. That's why going on shows like this, and people that are, we already had one today, a 15-year NHL hockey player, I'll leave his name out. Once he was listening to one of the shows, got on it, and he went to the website right off the bat because he's going through some of these things. And there is a direct correlation that I never knew till 3 months ago. And I got out of my dark place really last spring, heading into this past summer. Been there for 3.5 years, 4 years. Is the chronic pain and a lot of head trauma is directly related to some of the depression people go through. It's tough enough when people are done playing or lose a job or the rest of it, and then you put the pain with it, or the head injury with it, the trauma. It's a stone cold block why some of these guys are going through it.
Sean Salisbury with us on the Matt Thomas Show here on Sports Talk 790. We're in Houston, and Sean, you just call games with Mark Malone. Did a lot of college games in our area over the past year, some bowl games and whatnot. Let me ask you this, open and honest, how much do you miss the television? I mean, you were, and look, ESPN's got a vast stable of folks, but you were clearly, with you and John I mentioned earlier, I mean, you were in a pretty high-profile position, and you haven't said at one point that you felt like you were being passed up. So.
And you know what? And I didn't handle it very well when the 10-second incident. And I believe me, I suffered more punishment than anybody else did. Yeah, but I miss it. And I also realize that when you kick yourself in the teeth, I beat myself up more than anybody ever could over it.
Right.
Because for 12 years, you're sitting on top of the world. You've got a great job. Forget the job, had a great career. And something that, while you may not be making a difference, is not as important as somebody who's operating on a heart.
Sure.
I still loved what I do, and I still do. But I think perspective, going back and being a full-time dad and suffering through some really tough times and dark times and hitting rock bottom, I actually think it makes me appreciate the second time around. 2012 is going to be a great year, and I'm jumping back into it, radio and TV full-time. I'm anxious to get wherever it takes me, whether it's on the national stage, whatever it is. I'll get back to where I'm going because I'm at peace again. And it's been a long time for me, Matt. It really has. And I'm excited about it, and excited to get back into it and passionate about it. I'll be ready to go, and I am ready to go.
Well, I'll just say this, Sean. I like people that have opinions. I mean, I want to be objective as a talk show host. I want my guys that I watch on broadcast to say something. And I think there are some that try to protect their friendships with players in the league. And I'll give you the respect that you deserve on this. You weren't afraid to call some people out.
Matt, you know what's interesting about it? And I'm not going to attack who they're sleeping with or the Twitter where you throw somebody under the bus. My job was to talk about what they did in between the lines. Unless, of course, they break the law and you have to talk about it. But for me, and I've had one run-in 12, 14, 15 years doing it with Terrell Owens over the Sharpie. Ironically, I got one in my hand.
You do?
Yeah, and it was
to write the score down.
Okay, it was a love-hate relationship. Yeah. But you know what? I watch the same tape they watch. If a guy throws 5 picks, why do I need to sit on the fence? He's my buddy, but man alive, believe me, I know how to criticize a guy who was average because I threw enough interceptions to know what average is. Yeah. So one thing I'll never change is, no offense sitting here, passionate, opinionated, but I'll back it up with the facts, and the information we get is usually coming from a coach or somebody on there, just how you present it. So I'm not going to be a fence sitter, and you know that, and I'll give you an opinion. They may not like it, but guess what? That's just me, and that's what they're going to get.
One Houston question for you. You spent most of your career as a backup quarterback. We obviously saw ×3 in Houston this past year. In TJ Yates' situation, we as talk show hosts, and the coaches will never admit that, but we felt like the game plan was really very conservative, especially with TJ's out there. And I've talked to a lot of people about that. No one's surprised by that because, again, when you're holding a clipboard or you're not suiting up for the first half of the season, all of a sudden to step in and do what Matt Schaub was doing was just being unrealistic.
Right. You can't compare the two, but I will tell you this. And I understand why you got to tailor it to your backup, and he's not getting, wasn't getting much work. But that's over now. Whether, let's say Matt didn't play anymore, and it was TJ's job, just for fun. There's no more watering it down and protecting. He's an NFL quarterback. He gets paid to play quarterback in the NFL. And what you can't do is, and they had to limit what they did with the rest of the players. You can't make 10 other players suffer on offense. And I thought TJ did a wonderful job. He proved that he's smart enough. He proved that he can make all the throws, and he proved that he's poised and understands not only offense but how to attack a defense. That being said, you heap on somebody. I've always believed in giving a quarterback more than he can handle because it forces him to learn. That's why I hate the wristband thing. I think it promotes laziness. I do.
How about the headset talking to the coaches?
You know what? I'm okay with that as long as they don't overcoach. Coach me the other 6 days a week. Right now we're trying to get in the game. Give me some suggestions. So you get to a point now where your rookie year's over. It's time. If he has to do it again, forget, hey, a post is a post is a post. A comeback's a comeback's a comeback, whether you're the backup or a 12-year Hall of Famer. Right. That's just the way it is. But he did a phenomenal job. What it's proved to me now is that the Houston Texans are in a really good position if the starter gets hurt. And you can't name me 6 backups in this league you trust. You can't.
Well, I can trust Matt Fleming. He's probably going to be a starter somewhere.
That's exactly right. And once we get to about 3, you have to sit here and hesitate. Yeah. So do I. So I think that Houston got themselves a really good sneaky pick with him.
Sean, last thing, I made the great mistake of saying that the winner of the Giants-Dallas game in Week 17, because both teams are kind of backing their way into the playoffs, they're not going to win a playoff game. Why do I do this? Why do I take the New York Giants for so limited success, and then all they do in the month, late December and all of January is just win football?
That's right. If we were talking about that in September, it's one thing, but once December and January hits, the most underrated coach in football is Tom Coughlin. I believe that, and the way Eli's, matter of fact, there's similar teams from when they went to the Super Bowl, but Eli's playing better now, and it is his team. So, believe me, I think we all went through that, and this is going to be one hell of a football game. The Giants are the better team right now, but I have a hard time when number 12's got the ball. If 12 wins this game, Brady does, he's the best quarterback of all time.
Let's remind the folks again, Past USA is the website for concussion prices and depression details, everything. You and a bunch of other former players are getting together on this. And wow, the story about the hockey player is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and we hope that spreads like branches and goes out there and touches a lot of people. You can also follow me on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered.
Sean Unfiltered. Is there Sean Filtered available at this point?
No, I don't have a muzzle, and I wouldn't know how to be filtered.
All right, I got you. I got you. Sean, it's nice seeing you.
Matt, great to see you.
Good
Thanks
luck
for having me on, buddy. I appreciate
Past
you.
USA for Sean Salisbury and at Sean Unfiltered. And he's going to write the score down on our marker board. Here it comes, ladies and gentlemen. Theater of the mind, high drama. Sean Salisbury says, Pats 31-30 over the G-Men. 31-30. Does that mean a missed extra point?
I don't know what it means, but I just know one thing. A lot of field goals, and Brady will have the ball in his hand at the end and pull it out.
All right, again.